Welcome back to the Company Law lecture series, where in today's video lecture, I would be giving the last one on the second unit, and then soon we would start with the unit 3 of the Company Law. In today's lecture, I am going to explain the concept of prospectus, which is another important document required for the incorporation of a company. So let's start with the lecture. The Companies Act 2013 defines a prospectus under Section 2, Clause 70. Prospectus can be defined as any document which is described or issued as a prospectus. This also includes any notice, circular, advertisement, or any other document acting as an invitation to offers from the public. Such an invitation to offer should be for the purchase of any securities of a corporate body. Shelf prospectus and red herring prospectus are also considered as a prospectus. Under this, the first point is essentials for a document to be called as a prospectus. For any document to be considered as a prospectus, it should satisfy some conditions. First one, the document should invite the subscription to public share or debentures, or it should invite deposits. Second, such an invitation should be made to the public. Third, the invitation should be made by the company or on the behalf of the company. Fourth, the invitation should relate to shares, debentures, or such other instruments. Second point, statement in lieu of prospectus. Every public company either issue a prospectus or file a statement in lieu of prospectus. This is not mandatory for a private company, but when a private company converts from private to public company, it must have to file a prospectus if earlier issued, or it has to file a statement in lieu of prospectus. The provisions regarding the statement in lieu of prospectus have been stated under Section 70 of the Companies Act 2013. Next up is advertisement of prospectus. Section 30 of the Companies Act 2030 contains the provisions regarding the advertisement of the prospectus. This section states that where in any manner the advertisement of a prospectus is published, it is mandatory to specify the contents of the memorandum of the company regarding the object, members' liabilities, amount of the company's share capital, signatories, and the number of shares subscribed by them, and the capital structure of the company. Types of the prospectus as follows. First one, shelf prospectus. Second, red herring prospectus. Third, average prospectus. Fourth, deemed prospectus. Now let me explain these one by one. The first one is shelf prospectus. These prospectus can be defined as a prospectus that has been issued by any public financial institution, company, or bank for one or more issues of securities or class of securities as mentioned in the prospectus. When a shelf prospectus is issued, then the issuer does not need to issue a separate prospectus for each offering. He can offer or sell securities without issuing any further prospectus. The provisions relating to shelf prospectus has been discussed under Section 31 of the Companies Act 2013. The regulations are to be provided by SEBI for any class or classes of companies that may file a shelf prospectus at the stage of the first offer of securities to the registrar. The prospectus shall prescribe the validity period of the prospectus, and it should be not be exceeding 1 year. This period commences from the opening date of the first offer of the securities. For any second or further offer, no separate prospectus is required. While filing for a self prospectus, a company is required to file an information memorandum along with it. Information memorandum has been defined under Section 31 Clause 2, which states that the company which is filing a shelf prospectus is required to file the information memorandum. It should contain all the facts regarding the new charges created, what changes have undergone in the financial position of the company since the first offer of the security or between the two offers. It should be filed with the registrar within 3 months before the issue of the second or subsequent offer made under the shelf prospectus as given under Rule 4CCA or Section 60A Clause 3 under the company's Central Government's General Rules and Forms 1956. When any company or a person has received an application for the allotment of securities, with advance payment of subscription before any changes have been made, then he must be informed about the changes. If he desires to withdraw the application within 15 days, then the money must be refunded to them. After the information memorandum has been filed, if any offer of securities is made, the memorandum along with the shell prospectus is considered as a prospectus. Now let's talk about the next prospectus, which is the red herring prospectus. It is a prospectus which lacks the complete particulars about the quantum of the price of the securities. A company may issue a red herring prospectus prior to the issue of prospectus when it is proposing to make an offer of securities. This type of prospectus needs to be filed with the registrar at least 3 days prior to the opening of the subscription list or the offer. The obligations carried by a red herring prospectus are same as a prospectus. If there is any variation between a red herring prospectus and a prospectus, then it should be highlighted in the prospectus as variations. When the offer of securities closes, then the prospectus has to state the total capital raised, either raised by the way of debt or share capital. It also has to state the closing price of the securities. Any other details which have not been included in the prospectus need to be registered with the registrar and the SEBI. The applicant or subscriber has right under section 60B clause 7 to withdraw the application on any intimation of variation within 7 days of such intimation, and the withdrawal should be communicated in writing. Next up is abridged prospectus. It is a summary of prospectus filed before the registrar. It contains all the features of a prospectus. An abridged prospectus contains all the information of the prospectus in brief, so that it should be convenient and quick for an investor to know all the useful information in short. Section 33 clause 1 of the Companies Act 2013 also states that when any form for the purchase of securities of a company is issued, it must be accompanied by an abridged prospectus. It contains all the useful and materialistic information so that the investor can take a rational decision, and it also reduces the cost of public issue of the capital as it is a short form of a prospectus. Next up is deemed prospectus. A deemed prospectus has been stated under section 25 clause 1 of the Companies Act 2013. When any company to offer securities for sale to the public allots or agrees to allot securities, the company will be considered as a deemed prospectus through which the offer is made to the public for sale. The document is deemed to be a prospectus of a company for all purposes, and all the provision of content and liabilities of prospectus will be applied upon it. In the case of SEBI versus Kunnam Paper Mills Limited, it was held by the court that where a rights issue is made to the existing members with the right to renounce in the favor of others, it becomes the deemed prospectus if the number of such others exceeds 50. Now let's talk about the process for filing and issuing a prospectus. Under this, the first step is application forms. As stated under section 33, the application form for the securities is issued only when they are accompanied by a memorandum with all the features of prospectus referred to as an abridged prospectus. The exceptions to this rule are: first, when an application form is issued as an invitation to a person to enter into underwriting agreement regarding securities. Second, application issued for the securities not offered to the public. Second point is contents. For filing and issuing the prospectus of a public, it must be signed and dated and contain all the necessary information as stated under section 26 of the Companies Act 2013. First, name and registered address of the office, its secretary, auditor, legal advisor, bankers, trustees, etc. Second, date of the opening and closing of the issue. Third, statements of the board of directors about separate bank accounts where receipts of issues are to be kept. Fourth, statement of the board of directors about the details of utilization and non-utilization of receipts of various previous issues. Fifth, consent of the directors, auditors, bankers to the issue, expert opinions. Sixth, authority for the issue and details of the resolution passed for it. Seventh, procedure and time scheduled for the allotment and issue of securities. 8th, the capital structure of the in the manner which may be prescribed. 9th, the objective of a public offer. 10th, the objective of the business and its location. 11th, particulars related to risk factors of the specific project, gestation period of the project, any pending legal action, and other important details related to the project. 12th, minimum subscription and what amount is payable on the premium. 13. Details of directors, their remuneration, and extent of their interest in the company. 14. Reports for the purpose of financial information such as auditor's report, report of profit and loss of the 5 financial years, business and transaction reports, statement of compliance with the provisions of the Act, and any other report. Next up is filing of copy with the registrar. As stated under subsection 4 of section 26 of the Companies Act 2013, the prospectus is not to be issued by a company or on its behalf unless on or before the date of publication a copy of the prospectus is delivered to the registrar for registration. The copy should be signed by every person whose name has been mentioned in the prospectus as a director or proposed director or the assigned attorney on his behalf. Next up is delivery of copy of the prospectus to the registrar. As per section 26 clause 6 of the Companies Act 2013, the prospectus should mention that its copy has been delivered to the registrar on its face. The statement should also mention the document submitted to the registrar along with a copy of the prospectus. Next up is registration of prospectus. Section 26 clause 7 states about the registration of a prospectus by the registrar. According to this section, when the registrar can register a prospectus when first, it fulfills the requirements of this section, that is section 26 of the Companies Act 2013, and second, it contains the consent of all the persons named in the prospectus in writing. Next up is issue of prospectus after registration. If a prospectus is not issued before 90 days from the date from which a copy was delivered before the registrar, then it is considered to be invalid. Under this contravention of section, if a prospectus is issued in contravention of the provision under section 26 of the Companies Act, then the company can be punished under section 26 clause 9. The punishment for the contravention is fine of not less than rupees 50,000 extending up to rupees 3 lakh. If any person becomes aware of such prospectus after knowing the fact that such prospectus is being issued in contravention of section 26, then he is punishable with the following penal provisions. First, imprisonment up to 3 years or fine of more than rupees 50,000 not exceeding rupees 3 lakh. So that was all about today's video lecture and the unit 2 of our company law lecture series, where I try to explain the whole unit of incorporation of a company under company law. From now onwards, I would be starting off with the third unit of the company law, which is management and control of companies. So do subscribe to this channel to get notified whenever I put up those video lectures, and please support this channel by sharing the video lectures with people who are into company law. Thanks for watching.